Greetings nerdy list aficionados and welcome back to Top 10 Nerd. Today we're looking at Batman, the Dark Knight himself. He is known as a hero without powers, just a man in a bat suit, and yet he has gotten powers many times, enough for us to be on part 2 of this list. I'm Sasha and this is the top 10 times Batman has gotten superpowers part 2. Number 10, Yellow Lantern Batman. Batman is just getting all of the rings, so watch out. Also, the fear ring seems appropriate. During the Emotion Spectrum arc in the War of Light, recruitment rings were sent out, and when the Sinestro Corps was recruiting, one of them found its way over to Batman, and it told him that he had the ability to instill great fear. Who else would have loved to see Yellow Lantern Batman at that time fight Hal, especially after his whole, "you can't wield this ring," and then he put it on, there was too much grief and it was a whole thing. Hal, sit down. However, Batman fights off the ring. He's invoking enough fear on his own, thank you very much. We kinda get that confrontation I was talking about in the Forever Evil arc, but that's later in the New 52. It was revealed that Batman had gotten his hands on a Yellow Lantern ring and somehow managed to stop it from moving on to another user. Batman would don this ring to fight Green Lantern's evil crime syndicate doppelganger, Power Ring, and he had no problem wielding it, so take that, Hal. Well, really, take that, Jeff Johns. Number 9, Batman on Venom. Batman was once on the very same drug that is perpetually coursing through Bane's veins, albeit it was a more prototypical version of it. After failing to save a small child from drowning, Batman was questioning if he physically had what it took to be an effective superhero. So when he was offered a new designer drug that would enhance his strength, he actually jumped at the offer and started taking it. The problem? It was warping his mind, making him cruel but also highly suggestible. The drug was meant to be used to create really obedient super soldiers. For the time he was on it, his power levels were intensely increased and he was able to take a lot more punishment. Batman would lock himself in the Batcave for a month to wean himself off the drug. Well, not wean, intense cold turkey himself off the drug. This after he let some villains escape rather than stop them because they threw a bag of venom at him. It was a pretty low moment, and he knew it. Number 8, the Batman of ZURR. We're talking the classic ZURR here, not the revamped Grant Morrison one that is just a psychotic Bruce post-hypnotic suggestion. So in the 1958 story, Batman, the Superman of Planet X, Batman has to go with the Batman of ZURR back to his planet, ZURR. And when Batman gets there, he has Superman-like powers because of the change in atmosphere and sun, just like Clark has on Earth. Batman is able to use his powers to help Plano, the scientist, and the Batman of that world to defeat an army of invading robots. Not bad for a day's work. Number 7, Genie Batman. Batman once got the powers of a genie during the Silver Age, but also the weaknesses. Phenomenal cosmic power, itty bitty living space, and also a master, because of course he fell into the hands of criminals. And he had to do their bidding. He appeared in Detective Comics number 322 in 1963. He gets turned into a genie by magic powder. Robin and Batgirl need to track him down. This is Betty Kane Batgirl pre-Barbara Gordon, back in the Batman and Robin aren't gay lovers period, where it was look, Batwoman and Batgirl exist. Robin is able to stow away inside the criminal's car and steal their magic Batman genie lamp, and you guessed it, he uses the last wish to wish for his freedom. Like, does the genie cry if you don't do that? Probably. Number 6, God Trinity Batman. After the 52 arc, which was a huge success but focused on, well, the C-list and some of the B-list and, let's be honest, also the D-list, DC decided to bring the Trinity back into focus. This was because they had taken a year off after Infinite Crisis, which had led into 52. So this arc was to showcase that the Trinity were essential to the functioning of the DC universe, and at one point in the story they were removed, and their proteges had to go get them. Batman and the rest of the Trinity were transformed into tarot-style godlike archetypes, so of course here we have a Bat God and key player in the fabric of the universe. This arc was a lot of a lot. If you read it, let me know how you feel about it. Number 5, Batman KIRK LANGSTROM. So this Batman is not Bruce Wayne. No, he is KIRK LANGSTROM from the Gods and Monsters universe. He is a vampire version of Batman who accidentally turned himself into one while running experiments on blood involving vampire bats in order to try and find a cure for lymphoma. Well, it went wrong, as these things often do, and now he must drink to survive. He was heading down a dark path until he met up with this world's Superman, who helped him find a way to curb his darker impulses. KIRK has all the powers being a vampire affords, and while he's quite brutal to his criminal element, he feeds off of them. That's ice cold. I feel like people wouldn't stand for an actual vampire vigilante. Just look what happened to the Confessor. Number 4, Man-Bat Batman. Speaking of KIRK LANGSTROM moves us to number 4. So KIRK LANGSTROM in the DC main verse goes by the alias Man-Bat after he injected himself with a serum. After After this, he transformed into a giant bat-like creature. He was initially trying to find a way to extend a bat's sonar vision to humans, because, well, why not? So Batman ended up using his man-bat transformation serum after the death of his son Damian at the hands of the Heretic, aka his own clone. Yes, Damian was killed, skewered by a hyper-aged clone version of himself, who was also jealous of him. Batman went a bit off the deep end, you know, another dead Robin and all of that. So he took to the skies with this serum, because he needed a boost, but also apparently wanted that boost to be on brand. Number 3, Black Lantern Batman. Okay, so yes, it turned out this wasn't actually Batman, but people didn't know that at the time. It's actually all kind of really anticlimactic if you read it later on. So Batman was killed at the end of Final Crisis by Darkseid's Omega Beams. So during the Blackest Night event, when Black Hand was raising the dead via Black Lantern rings, Batman's corpse, whose skull Black Hand had also licked, was resurrected, and so the League had to go up against a horrific zombified version of their friend and teammate. That would be quite the stressful battle, grief still fresh, fighting a zombie, sad times. But it wasn't him! He was traveling his way back through time to get back to the present as Pirate Batman and Pilgrim Batman and other things. The return of Bruce Wayne. Number 2, Vampire Batman. Again, a different one. This is the Vampire Batman who is Bruce Wayne from the now famed Batman Dracula trilogy, wherein Batman becomes a vampire to take on Dracula and then must contend with a life of bloodlust. It's dark, gothic, and the Batman depictions are horrifying. He's nightmare fuel. He has all your usual vampire traits and is up here higher because he's actually Bruce Wayne, and that earns you some points. Sorry, Kirk. Batman has some safeguards in place for himself should he ever give in to his bloodlust, which the Joker in this universe is always tempting him to do. Also, Selina is a weircat. Meow. You get all 3 of these collected together now in trade. It's worth it in my opinion. This Batman is iconic. This Batman is coming to us from Earth 43, a scary Earth indeed, and not even the dark multiverse, because that didn't exist yet. And finally, in at number 1, Batman gets Superman's powers. Superbat. So during the Batman-Superman team-up comic, which began in 2003, an arc beginning in issue 53 was launched, wherein after encountering Banshee and a magic spell, Batman and Superman's abilities were switched. Batman was able to learn to control Superman's abilities fairly quickly. However, they also fairly quickly fed into his negative personality traits. Already driven, he became obsessed, fighting crime constantly, literally chasing night across the globe. He would become increasingly brutal and disconnected, eventually seriously injuring Dick, an action that horrified Alfred. It was up to Superman and Zatanna to bring him down. Batman would later admit that he had gone too far, but at the same time note to himself that he would miss having those powers. Also, it seemed like Superman doesn't need to sleep, because Bruce was not sleeping. He was meditating, hanging upside down in the Batcave, because he could. So those were 10 more times Batman got superpowers. Which was your fave, or is a depowered Batman the best Batman for you? Let me know down below. I'm Sasha, and thanks so much for watching Top 10 Nerd. Please don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe, and hit that bell notification so that you never miss a vid. See you soon. Bye.